Hello and welcome. We are officially going to get started on my webinar. So we're going to be talking about the 3 strategies I use to overcome my lower back issues. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so glad that you're here with me, and we'll be going for the next 30 minutes to learn the strategies I use to avoid medication and surgery and to stop relying on medical professionals to fix my back. So this is interactive training, so if you've got any comments, please do pop them in and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, got to remember to change these slides. So are you ready to focus? Pop your phone on mute or in another room, close your tabs on your computer, or maybe even put a do not disturb sign on the door. Get focused, listen to this training so you can make the most of it. So on that note, I have a special bonus for you. So that is Pilates for Beginners core floor-based exercises. So I hope you enjoy that, because I'm sure everybody likes getting presents, isn't that right? So everything I'm going to share with you is important, is critical to reducing your back issues, that you stay into the end so you can get a full picture of the tips that I'm going to share. And near the end of the webinar, I'm going to post a link in the chat so you'll be able to get access to the Pilates beginners core exercises. So if you're committed to staying at the end, pop a little comment in to let me know that you're going to stay with me until the end. It would be lovely to have you. So my promise today is I'm going to show you how you can stop thinking there's nothing more you can do about your back, and that is only going to get worse as you get older. To know what to do to ease your back issue, you feel much more stronger, mobile, more confident. If that sounds good for you, please type yes in the comments. We're also going to discover why what you've been doing for years to reduce your back pain, or maybe it's months, doesn't get to the root of the issue, and I'm going to walk you through what does. Just imagine being able to skip over all the Googling, all that trial and error, and just do what works, so saving all that precious time. I know that when I learned the steps that I'm going to share with you today, it really changed my life, and it certainly changed the lives of my clients, and I know that it can change yours too. If that sounds good for you, please type yes in the comments, and then we're going to dive a little further into this. So let me know if you can relate to any of these things. Are you tired of visiting the doctors only to be given more and more tablets? Have you tried maybe stretching, but you feel you need something more? Are you fed up with trying to get moving and trying an exercise class only to find that you cannot do half of the things? Or maybe you're just fed up of visiting chiros or osteopaths because you find it helpful, but you're just wondering if there's something more you can do to help yourself rather than just relying on them. And maybe you feel your body slowed down and your body feels 5 to 10 years older than you really are. Or maybe you feel annoyed just because your body won't do what you want it to do. Or perhaps you were active before, and since you've had this back thing, you're not active anymore, and maybe you've even put on weight because of that. So the number one thing, if you are nodding your head in agreement to any or part or some of these points, I know because I've done all of those things. And I promise you, whatever it is you're doing now and it's not working, it's not your fault. It's really not your fault. It's really hard to know what to do. And if you feel anything like I did when I had my back issues, I would have really just done anything to get rid of my back pain or backache, whichever it was. And both, except nothing seemed to work long term. So have you been to a chiro osteopath but just want to help yourself? Are you fed up with trying an exercise class, as I said, only being able to do half the things? Maybe you've been searching that YouTube, trying to look for a right Pilates video, but you just can't keep up with it. It's too hard for you. If you can say yes to any of those things, pop that in the comments. I know it's frustrating and I totally get it. You're following what the internet has told you to do, or maybe the doctors have told you to do some Pilates, and you've tried to find the right class for you, but it doesn't quite work. So what do you think you should do? You do what you think you should do, but it's not enough. I'm trying to make sure I've got these slides right. Okay. So let me give you an example of this. When my back was bad, I would spend most of the night tossing and turning trying to get to sleep. All I wanted to do was to get comfortable and wake up with no aches or pains. It was just really, really frustrating. And I woke up feeling as stiff as a board once I got to sleep, that was. So I booked to visit a chiro, which helped, and I slept better. But then a week later, I'll be lying in bed, my back's still aching. I booked to see them again, and this would happen over and over. I started to wonder, was there anything else I could do to help myself? So I tried an exercise class, but it was just way too difficult for me. I searched YouTube, surely there'd be some videos on there, but I couldn't do most of them, or I'd end up with my back being in a worse state than when I started. And I felt I would never get better again. Tell me in the comments if you felt the same. I was so fed up. I was so frustrated. Really felt I was never going to get back to the way I used to do. I used to be so active. And that I just thought that was it. And that was where I was going to be as I got older. I mean, I really didn't want to feel like that anymore. I wasn't happy. It started to affect my mental health. I struggled with depression. It really wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. So if you can relate to this in any way, I know mine was quite extreme. I was in 3 car accidents, but just generally, if you've had back pain and you're going to and from the doctors or physios or osteos and you just kind of getting nowhere, let me know if you can relate. So I'm so glad, as I said, that you are here today. So I just wanted you to imagine that you could wake up feeling more in control of your back issues, no more relying on trips to doctors, chiros, physios, osteos. Imagine being able to get back to the things you used to do and feeling stronger and more flexible and feeling more positive about the future. Imagine that you can just find that, imagine that you can just get to the root of this, the root to your back pain. Because what I'm about to share with you is one of the fastest and most effective way to get into that root of back pain. And this is lower back pain in particular, and how to avoid the ongoing cycle of flare-ups so you can finally feel you've got some freedom again. So maybe your back's all right one day and then suddenly it goes again. And I'll be sharing a simple way to activate your natural built-in back support and reduce the risk of long-term medical care. Let me know if that sounds good for you. Type in the comments if it does. So who am I anyway? Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Sandia and I hold certificates in Hatha Yoga, a diploma in Pilates, and level 4 exercise referral certificate. So that's kind of like those common things like osteoporosis, knee injuries, back injuries. And I've also actually level 4 in back specialist, but I've got one tiny little bit of coursework to hand in. I'm also qualified in meditation, and I am the founder of the Pilates for Backs method. And my goal really is to make Pilates more adaptable, suitable, and safer for people with back issues. And I combine my experience in both Pilates and yoga to create that Pilates for Backs method, which I teach. And I support individuals to reduce their back pain and reduce the risk of long-term medical care. So as you heard me mention, I have been in 3 car accidents. And whenever I spoke about my first car accident, I really would cry. It was just like a total shock to my system. And yeah, I think it was just suddenly the shock because I got hit behind. It was such a shock. However, from this unfortunate experience, it's enabled me to develop a unique approach to restorative training for people of all ages who are suffering from back problems. I've actually had back issues since the age of 10 when I fell on a tree on my tailbone, but this was so much worse after my car accidents. I've probably spent more than 6,000 trying to work out how to figure out my back, osteos, physios, chiros, massagers, acupuncture, you name it, I've tried it. But now I use a Pilates for Backs method to take control of my back. And I can now pick up my 3-year-old son with ease, although he's getting quite heavy now. I walked the Great Wall of China for 10 days, and this is where my husband proposed, and we live in Keynsham near Bristol. And I'm really lucky because my husband's built me a yoga and Pilates studio where I've been able to teach. And I've been teaching Pilates for Backs program for 3 years now with amazing results. So this was me 7 years ago. I was struggling picking up my shopping, struggling to bend down to pick up toys off the floor and lifting up my eldest daughter because of my back. I found it really difficult. My husband used to say to me, "Why can't you do anything?" And that just made me feel useless, fed up. And I really just wanted to get better. I took painkillers, I stretched out my back, I saw physios, they gave me exercises, but unfortunately those ones made things worse. I had massages, acupuncture, shiatsu, chiros, sound therapy, Reiki, the list goes on and on. I remember one time I picked up my daughter and a pain travelled up my back. I couldn't move. My back had gone into spasm. And I would just ask myself, how on earth was I going to get on with that day? How was I going to look after my daughter? More painkillers and a call to my mum to help. I called the chiropractor. I couldn't cope with the pain in my back. Once it settled down, I managed to get to the chiropractor to help me get out of the pain I was in. Because, of course, if you pull your back, you can't move, can you? You can't get out anywhere. So painkillers you're just reliant on. Let me know if you've experienced any of this. Your back's suddenly gone out. You've thought, what on earth are you going to do? So tell me if you've had something similar. I really would love to hear. I'm sure I'm not the only one who felt stuck and thought that I was doing all the right things. Okay, so let me just tell you briefly of my story. So I was at a T-junction in my car, and another car was coming across the way, another car behind me, and suddenly, whack, the car went in the back of me, a big Jeep. Time stood still. Somehow I managed to pull the car over to the side of the road. I was in shock and instant pain, and the pain seemed to spread all over my back, like water being spilt on the floor. So roll on a few years after that, unfortunately, I was in another car accident whilst being pregnant with my little girl, who's now 8. I was hit from behind in more whiplash, more backache. How on earth was I going to carry on with that pain? After my first child was born, I realised I had to fix this problem. Picking up toys was just too much of a challenge for me. I asked myself, why did I have to be like this? Walking, washing up, bending, getting up and down was such a challenge for me. I tried exercise, as I said before, and they just weren't right for me. So I said enough was enough. I'll train myself as a Pilates and yoga teacher. And then I took what I learnt from that and adapted the exercises so they were suitable for my back. I began to feel stronger and able to pick up my child without my back hurting. And since then, I've worked with hundreds of people with lower back pain, reducing their symptoms and trips to the doctors. Some even just were due to have surgery and have been able to stop having surgery as well. I know I've been in extreme situations. So if you've just hurt your back while playing golf or doing gardening or putting your socks on, then the Pilates for Backs program can fix you if it can fix the most extreme cases after 3 car accidents and 1 whilst being pregnant. Even though I'm now able to wake up without feeling as stiff as a board. I can wake up now without being in pain, pick up my child, get back to the hobbies, enjoy an 8-mile walk when I want. It took me 8 years to figure it all out. I tested lots of different things, what worked for me and worked for my body. I struggled. I remember the house was a complete mess one day. All I wanted to do was tidy up and hoover, but that was just impossible. I wish somebody could have told me what to do without me spending so much time and energy trying to figure it all out. It took time and patience. And there's no way I could have arrived at the Pilates for Backs system without having invested in my professional education and becoming an expert in lower backs. But I was fully committed to figuring it out. I was not going back to my old ways. What I discovered through all the trial and error, that I wasn't strong enough or able enough, or that I had weak willpower. I figured, in fact, that I had weak core muscles and I needed to strengthen them, and I needed to stretch out the tight ones that were overcompensating for the weak ones. And once I started to address the weak core, which is like a kind of stabilizer, helps you keep in upright position, helps support your back, everything changed for me. And I want to share how I did all of that so you can skip over all that waste of time too, because there is a simpler way to get freedom from your back issues without relying solely on medical professionals. So type in yes in the comments if you want a simpler way of doing things. So before we dive into these three strategies, I want to share a short case study with you so you can see what real success looks like. And so you can see it's possible for you too. So this is Dave. Dave has sciatica, pain in the lower back and right the way down to his big toe. He felt so frustrated because with the pain and not being able to move as much as he could before. He was unable to walk or sit for long periods of time. He'd been to chiros, osteos, and massages, and they all worked well, but unfortunately they were just temporary things. The MRI, he had an MRI, and that showed he had spondylosis, a type of arthritis caused by wear and tear onto the spine. And also his back was misaligned and misplaced. And the chiro and everybody else said, there's nothing more we can do for you. They told him he had to have an operation, a major back fusion. David done everything he thought was best, except none of those things worked. So the osteopath said, sorry, we can't do anything more. Tried to keep mobile and do some Pilates. Last April, he couldn't even walk with the pain. Then Dave came out of his comfort zone, started Pilates, and when he arrived, he was asking himself, what on earth am I doing here? Within weeks, the pain had decreased significantly. He felt so much better. He managed to return to golf that he'd had to give up before. And all of a sudden, he felt he was managing his injury and he no longer had to have a major back operation. So this is what Dave said. Dave said, I've never looked back. I feel more mobile, more pain-free, and I'm committed to doing the exercises at home. And when I quickly realised the exercises were doing me good, that was the incentive. That was all I needed to keep going. And I have even done a 6-mile walk with no pain. And Alice had backache and hip pain. She said she always had poor posture. And she felt she needed to straighten up after years of being hunched over while studying. She had a shoulder injury and restricted movement for a long time. She said, before I started Pilates, I felt I was getting older and on a downward spiral. I thought this would be how I would continue, or perhaps I'd get worse. I wouldn't go on long walks. It was just too painful. But I managed to continue working and do my household chores. After completing Pilates for backs, Alice now says I feel more comfortable, more agile, more flexible, and I have better balance. And Alison wasn't sure what to expect. She wasn't sure what her body was able to do and was worried how she'd get on. After joining Pilates for backs, she said her back and core has improved, and she finally understands how to adapt the exercises to her body. She said, what I love about Sandia is there are different ways to do the movements. I feel invigorated and that I could dance for the world. I am so glad I've made steps to try Pilates with Sandia, and I recommend that to everyone. It's gentle but also strengthening. Give it a go. Nothing to lose but everything to gain. So imagine being more in control of your life and your back. Feeling more strong, more supple. Feeling more positive about your future. And knowing what tools and skills you can use to keep your back pain at bay. And also having the confidence to know what you can do to help your back. So if that sounds good for you, type me in the comments. Okay, let's dive into these 3 secrets. Secret number 1, why osteopaths, chiro and physios might not be the only answer. So have you been to any of these to get an adjustment or manipulation, and then a couple of weeks later or even a week later you're in pain again? That's because it's just giving you temporary relief. You need to get to the root issue, and if you don't fix this and continue to go to body workers, you will never be able to have that sense of confidence in your body, have that sense that you're able to help yourself. It's not that I don't like body workers, but it's just that I don't think it's the only thing you should rely on. I believe that getting to the root of the issue and taking healing in your own hands is more powerful. If you go to a chiro, maybe you're in there 15 minutes, osteopath, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. But what do you do for the rest of the week, rest of the hours in the week? It's such a short time. We need to really, help ourselves with this. So secret number 2. Secret number 2 is activate your natural built-in back support. You were born with it, you live with it, and you will die with it. So you may as well use it. So what is this natural built-in back support? Many people think they need to focus purely on the back, but it's not the only thing you need to look at. Your body has several different muscles connected to the back as well as the front of the body, and these are known as your core muscles. And some of them here are shown in this picture. They act like a corset around your stomach and the mid and lower area of the back. They go all the way down to the pelvic floor as well. Some of them are weak, some of them are tight, because they are trying to protect the back. And they're responsible for supporting your back and keeping you in good posture. They're really important that they stay strong because they help to stabilize the spine, and they may help to improve lower back pain, as I've discovered and many of my students. And those muscles are used in daily movements such as walking, sitting, bending, twisting, lifting, pushing. Basically, most of your movements you do, even keeping you upright. So lots of people think the core muscles are purely this like abs, the six pack, but they extend far beyond that. The deep core muscles are the muscles that attach to the spine and run to the front of the body. And if your core is weak, this can lead to back pain and or injuries when exercising. And this is because the core muscles are responsible for maintaining spinal stability. If you have a weak core, then this can increase your chances of injuring the back. So learning how to strengthen the core safely and naturally helps to stabilize and support your back. For example, if you have no core strength and you pick up a heavy box, the load will default to your back. And this may cause injury if repeated. So when you lessen the load on your spine and joints and use your core muscles instead of drawing in to engage, you can lessen the back pain and reduce associated injuries. Conversely, if you have good core strength and learn how to effectively contract those muscles when lifting heavy items, the load will be eased from your back by your core muscles. So it will be more of an even lift. You'll have more of those muscles working, allowing you to lift that box safely. So what promotes core strength? By performing rehabilitation floor-based exercise that strengthen weak muscles and stretch out tight ones, so they work in sync with one another, are most important to optimally align and support the spine. If you just place your fingers just on the bones in the front of your hips and draw your hands in slightly and cough, you should feel a slight tightening just under your fingers, and that is one of the core muscles. And just so you get a feel of that. So let me just tell you as well about Damien. So Damien was recommended for Pilates by his doctor, and he thought, oh, just give it a go. And he's really found it's helped strengthen his back and his core muscles. It's made him feel fitter and more confident in taking part in activities such as mountain biking. So before he attended Pilates for bats, he had to be so careful because the slightest wrong movement could leave him in agony for a week. And he said it was getting him down. The pain was one thing, but the thought of movement and activity becoming increasingly difficult really concerned for me. I had good days and bad days. Some days getting out of bed was difficult. I enjoyed mountain biking, but he was finding it increasingly difficult and felt he was slowing down. He said he visited the chiro. It was expensive for short-term gain. To ease the pain, he took painkillers, but luckily he didn't have to do that regularly, as long as he was careful with his movement. He said he likes Pilates for bats because it's inclusive, and now he feels confident in Sandia's knowledge and feels challenged physically and mentally, and also feels his overall well-being has improved. And let me tell you about Roz. Roz had sciatica for 3 months, which caused back and leg pain from sitting at a desk. Well, that's what she thinks, it was sitting from a desk too long. After Roz went through Pilates for backs, she experienced improved mobility and general fitness. She said, over the months of doing Pilates with Sandia, I feel more energized and more supple. Sandia tailors the exercise to meet my level of mobility and goes the extra mile, and I really feel the benefits now. So if you tried Pilates but it was too hard for you, you might find Pilates for backs is okay for you, because we miss out lots of those aggravating exercises for people with back issues. Secret number 3, retrain and reset years of bad back habits. Anyone with an office job or driving job are often sitting down for long periods of time. And then when they get home, they feel so tired, they retire on the couch to watch TV. So if you have that type of job, you'll understand how stiff your body can feel. Many people tend to hunch or slouch, which isn't an ideal position to be in if your back or spine, for your back, because the spine is then a bit out of alignment. It's got that extra pressure there. It puts strain on the muscles of the back, and it shortens the muscles at the front of the hips. And it almost turns your core muscles in the stomach into a big marshmallow. So when you stand up, your posture isn't the greatest, your shoulders are rounded, you bend to pick up something by rounding through your back. Instead of using your knees to bend down, which they were intended to do, you're just overarching. And when you clean your teeth, you're rounding through your back instead of staying up straight. So really, we want to learn to strengthen our core to keep ourselves more in this upright position. So how can you ease the strain and tension and reduce the risk of more back issues? So number 1, mobilize and stretch. Number 2, tone and strengthen the core of the body. And number 3, retrain and reset years of bad back habits. Mm-hmm. So mobilizing and stretching is really important. If you've ever watched a cat or wildlife program, you'll understand that cats love and need to stretch. And they do this to get their muscles moving again after periods of not moving, when they're maybe sitting still or sleeping. And it's really necessary for them to survive in the wild, to be able to jump, to run away from danger. So really, they must move and stretch in order to get on with their everyday activities, and the concept is the same for us. Our body features a fascia membrane. Excuse me one moment. So our body features a fascia membrane, so it surrounds our muscles. It's a bit like several layers of cling film. And if we don't move regularly, the fascia gets tighter, thicker and thicker, and we become just more and more stiff. So we've got to keep moving and stretching to, keep those muscles lengthened out. So even though stretching is great, you also need to work on your core, as I said before, because your core plays such a big role in supporting the back. Just imagine the tree. This tree has a strong root structure so that they can withstand winds and stay standing still during those winds. And our core muscles are an essential part of keeping the back supporting in a line, just like that the roots of the tree. And when the core is strong, it reduces the risk of your back suddenly going out of place. And as I said before, the core is used in so many daily movements. So my journey, I retrained and reset my years of bad back habits, and I began to watch how I held my posture in everyday activities. And I also learned to reduce my stress and anxiety that was caused by the pain, and even aggravated, the stress aggravated the pain further. Okay, so let's just go over. Today we talked about the core concept, and I've just gone over those now. So secret one is there is another way than relying just on osteos, chiros, because they just give you temporary relief, and we really want to get to the root of the problem. Number two is activate your natural built-in back support, your core. So you've discovered that your core needs to be strong to support your back and maintain that spinal stability. So that helps to reduce the risk of injuring your back.
Mommy.
So activate your natural built-in back support, your core. You discovered that your core needs to be strong to support your back, maintain that spinal stability. Apologies, I've just gone over that twice because my son came in. And number three is retrain and reset those years of bad back habits. And that's so important because I walked you through the exact strategy that I used with all of my clients to get them to reduce their back issues. And we really need all those things together. So today you showed up because maybe you want to wake up feeling more in control of your back, less reliant on those trips to medical professionals, or get back to the things you used to do, or feel more positive about the future and stop worrying about your back suddenly going out. At the beginning of this training, I made a promise to you. I promised I was going to show you how you can stop thinking there's nothing more you can do about your back and it's only going to get worse, to know what you can do to ease your back issues so you can feel stronger and more mobile. So I want to share with you, I want to share with you a little secret. I'm not special, and none of my students are special either. We've all got busy lives, and often, we don't think we're fit enough or strong enough, but they can do it. And you can do it too. You already know that you can achieve freedom from your lower back issues as long as you have that accountability and a plan to follow. So you are halfway there. So do let me know if you've got any questions and I can see whether I can help you. So do put them in the comments box and I'll answer them in the comments box for you there. So you've got a choice now. You can continue to do what you're currently doing, relying on doctors or medical professionals, or you can choose a simpler path and follow the Pilates for Backs program, focusing on lower backs. And that comes with a proven system and accountability so you can get to your goal. So the choice is yours. Throughout the webinar, you heard me mention the Pilates for Backs. And that is how I can help you achieve reduction of pain from your lower back issues. So if it would be okay with you, I'll just take a few minutes to share that program with you. I really want to give you the right information so you can reduce your back issues without struggling. So I hope that will be okay. Comment in the box if it is. Okay, so I'm really honoured to share this opportunity with you. So I've also set aside some time over the next couple of days. So if you want to talk to me about that on a call, you can. So you can do that with my call, and in that we will be going through the Pilates for Backs program, and also finding out, first of all, really what your issues are, what you're doing now that isn't working, and how you would like your future to be. So really this call is for you if you've got general lower back pain, history of herniated slip disc, sciatica, scoliosis, spondylolisthesis, and you want to have some floor-based exercises and techniques to help reduce your pain. If you're committed to following a step-by-step system, even when you feel that life gets a little rocky. So don't worry, you'll have support from me that will be really, I'll be there to help you pick you back up if you've lost your mojo. And if you're tired of trying one thing after another, this is the thing for you. So the best part of this call is that you'll gain confidence. You'll be able to see how the system works, and you'll be asking yourself, why are you not even charging for this call? And while I'm certainly not the only one in the Pilates industry, there are so many people doing it, which is great. However, I am the best at working with individuals with lower back issues and people who want to reduce their back issues solely without solely relying on those trips to medical professionals. I transform my own life and my clients' lives. So here's what to do next. You can book a call. I'll put the link in below. You just pick a time, pick a date, pop your email in, pop your telephone number in, and then I give you a call and we can go through all of those things on the call to try and work out where you are and how you can be supported and how we can move forward. So if you want to work out with me what your issues might be with your backs, do let me know. Do book a call. We can have that chat to find out what those issues are and to work out where the Pilates for backs might be able to help you. So thank you so much for attending this training today. As promised on the Pilates, on the earlier, I said I would give you that Pilates exercises. So that's my gift to you. I'm going to put that in the chat box so you can download it. You can just click and download it, or you can copy and paste it into your own browser if you like. So thank you again. We did it, everybody. Thank you for coming today. As I said before, it was my mission and my purpose on this planet to save the right people from having to experience what I did and to give them a simpler way to achieve reduction of their lower back issues. So if you booked a call, then I can't wait to hear from you. And if you've got any questions, pop them in and I'll do my best to answer them for you. So I appreciate your time. I really, really value you watching today. Goodbye and thank you.